Hello, I am Goose, and it seems like you guys like my video about Rocky's journey through Punch-Out. Really liked it. Now, there have been a lot of comments, about 825 of them at the time of me writing this script. Some of them objecting to my claims, some supporting them, and others bringing up characters I should put through the Punch-Out circuits as well. And most of all, people correcting me over one date I got wrong. It was all very fun to read, every single one of those. Food for thought, if someone already made the exact same comment as you, don't comment the exact same thing again! Aside from that, it was pretty cool reading all those. Anyways, I thought it would be cool to check out people's thoughts on the video via the comments, and depending on how credible or suspicious the evidence is, it might sway my feelings about how that video turned out for Rocky. Let's do some reading then, shall we? And I know I shouldn't have to say this, but this is a partially comedic video. So, if you're offended that I did a little jokey on your little comment on the little YouTube video about the little video game characters, I'm sorry. But only a little. Okay, let's get started. The first one is by the person that helped me come up with and develop the idea for the original video to begin with. @SonsOfWanarchy on Twitter, also known on YouTube as, I've never actually said his name out loud, King Kalashnikov. And he raises some very good points about how Rocky might have been screwed over in that video. Food for thought. I think Rocky Balboa is nerfed by the WVBA rule set. Matches are only 3 rounds, 3 minutes apiece. Rocky's biggest strength, by far, is his endurance. His whole shtick is going the distance against even the toughest opponents, wearing them down bit by bit until he can clench his iron jaw and dramatically wail into them once they're exhausted. Such circumstances can't really exist in the WVBA. On the flip side, this allows fighters like Bear Hugger, who would realistically gas out around the middle of a 12-round event, can more or less keep their foot on the gas from round 1. That's also pretty big for the completely shredded dudes in the world circuit, whose body fat percentages are so low they'd gas out quick because muscles require much more water and oxygen than fat, as well as being worse at storing and transporting it. And I think that's absolutely true. If the rules were bent to be slightly more realistic, as in a higher number of rounds that went on for longer, I really do think that Rocky would have a way easier time getting through the boxers and Punch-Out. But what fascinates me so much is how, even when the rules are not in his favor, he still got through 99% of the cast with very little trouble. Very impressive on his part. However, I still don't think that he could beat the guy tearing a building down, regardless of rules. Next, here's one that sort of goes against my ruling in the video. Again, I'm just giving you a funny voice because I think it's funny.
Ivan Drago can punch 2,150 psi on a normal punch, which, depending on the size of his glove, 4 square inches according to those who have bothered to calculate this all, would put Drago's punch at 4 tons of force. Sandman's feat, due to the vague nature of the comic style, could be multiple punches over an afternoon. Multiple punches is what is suggested, but we have no idea how many punches, nor the strength of the bricks. Drago could theoretically do this in an afternoon, assuming his fists don't break in the process.
I don't know how much I would trust that number. Ivan Drago might be strong, but I feel like he is sort of in the same wheelhouse as Soda Popinski and Mr. Sandman. Both of them are super strong, and I feel like even Ivan would have some trouble against them. Remember, the main hurdle of this challenge is putting real-life characters into the cartoony world of Punch-Out and seeing how they prevail. I see where you're coming from, but I still think the final fight favors Mr. Sandman.
The building Sandman punched was a paid actor.
I don't think, yeah, not quite, buddy. I don't know. Little Joe's, who the hell is Little Joe? That's not important. Little Joe's whole tactic is to avoid getting hit. Rocky trains to be able to take the hits. I suppose that's true, but you have to remember, Rocky is training to take the hits of humans. These Punch-Out guys are on a whole other level. They survive things they definitely shouldn't, and this is new territory for Rocky, so I don't think he's going to be having the same easy ride he normally does.
Wait, you're that guy? You're the music one? Literally was thinking, where have I seen that name on PFP before? But then you mentioned it. Really like Nick Bruiser's theme, God bless.
Yep, that's me, the Punch-Out guy. That's what I've always wanted. This fan base is a prison I can never escape. I'm the Punch-Out guy. Look at me dance. But also, thank you. I appreciate the support and the love. In the comics, Sandman also launched a man 100 feet in the air with just a casual punch. So yeah, Rocky's toast. Wow, I actually didn't even consider referencing the comics for information at all. I really should have read those before I made the video. Does anyone know where I can read them? Not that I'm planning on making a revisited video for Rocky's challenge. I just want to see those comics for myself.
Fun fact, Rocky would win all matches minus Sandman because of infractions.
Well, not really at all, actually. If we were in the real world with the real boxing rules, then sure. But the WVBA seems to be a lot more lenient to the shit going on in the ring. And since the video was based around plopping Rocky into that scenario with those rules, I don't think that Rocky is getting any free wins via infractions. He also just doesn't really seem like the type to be a stickler.
There's one thing overlooked here. Little Mac himself. Technically, Little Mac trades blows with Sephiroth, Cloud, Kirby, Donkey Kong, and so on. His power level is not a human power level. He has less the strength of a traditional boxer and more akin to a Marvel character.
First of all, the video you commented this on completely removes Little Mac from the equation. That's like the whole point of the video, so I don't see why bringing him up debunks it. Secondly, saying that Sephiroth and Kirby are in the same tier as most Marvel characters was enough to make me fall out of my chair laughing. Okay, so I'm lying. Maybe I just exhaled through my nose, but my point still stands. That's a crazy thing to imply. Now we need a what if Ippo was in Punch-Out? Oh, now there's an interesting idea. For those who don't know, Ippo, or Ippo Makunochi, is the protagonist of Hajime no Ippo, which is a very popular boxing manga. Probably the most popular one, maybe. I talked about one of the games in my video about Punch-Out knockoffs, which apparently I've been asked to make a third part of. I might do that if I run out of ideas, but I'm trying to get away from being the Punch-Out guy and heeding to every Punch-Out fan's whim. I mean, I do like Punch-Out, but I don't want to be the Punch-Out guy. Where was I? Kind of got lost in my redundant train of thought there. Oh, right, Ippo. Maybe a video about him. That's a big fat maybe. I think it's an interesting idea.
You look like Minecraft Steve! I think it's the square head!
Wow, I look like Minecraft Steve, you say? You don't say. Oh, and I have the teal shirt. Oh, wow, you don't say. Very clever of you to notice. I don't even like Minecraft all that much. And by the way, me having the teal shirt was a complete coincidence, genuinely. I didn't even think about it until I finished, like, all 130 of the stills, and I did not want to color and then re-render every single one of them again to fix that little coincidence. But yeah, TLDR, Minecraft is only really tolerable to me if it's modded to hell and back, or if you put Pokemon in it.
Talks about how all Glass Joe talks about is how he wants to retire all the time. Shows footage from the game where he very decidedly doesn't do that.
I mean, wanting to retire has been a bit of a theme for Glass Joe since his conception, as far as I know. Maybe it's just the sunk cost fallacy keeping him going? I don't know. Though, I do wish Punch-Out Wii actually showed characters retiring or doing things after the main story of the game. Sort of like how the boxers in Super Punch-Out had little quotes in the credits, but with actual scenes playing out. I'm not a huge fan of how Punch-Out Wii just kind of has them do a little pose at the end of the game. I mean, it's cute, better than nothing, but I digress.
Donkey Kong is the strongest character canonically. He freaking punched the moon into the earth.
Yeah, that's partially why I excluded him from the first video, and this whole discussion in general. He's not part of the 3 circuits in the game, so he is excluded on technicality, but the real reason is that the answer is just too obvious. Rocky loses so fast, there's nothing to talk about. Donkey Kong lives on an even cartoonier and stupidly strong plane than the Punch-Out cast. I'm talking like Gear 5 levels of shenanigans. Okay, well maybe not that much, but it's a YouTube video, I gotta hyperbolize. Is that a real word? I don't know. So for anyone wondering about my answer to that particular character, there you go.
Apollo Creed says, "Here it comes," out loud to Rocky in the middle of their fight. Rocky did win the fight that time, but Apollo beat him the first time.
This is in regards to Disco Kid, by the way. You know, the third guy you fight in Punch-Out for the Wii. Disco Kid and Apollo Creed are in no way similar in power, so I don't know why you're defending someone who was doomed from the very start. Secondly, Apollo barely won that first match. That was by decision. I'm not giving this train of thought any more credence. Maybe I interpreted it wrong all these years, but I always saw Sandman's intro being him literally one-hitting the entire cast. You know, I never thought of it that way, actually, but now that you've described it like that, it just makes him look even more deadly. Someone able to tear down all of those boxers instantly, and even breaking down a building in a shocking amount of time, for one person at least, it just adds to the certainty of Sandman's victory in my mind. I think the cheeseburger comment was less Mac being American, but a dig at his name being similar to McDonald's Big Macs. Although in his case, a burger would still be called Little Mac. Oh man, I didn't even think about that. That makes so much sense. There's even a game called Captain Rainbow where you rehabilitate washed-up video game characters that has Little Mac in it, but he went by Big Mac because he was fat as fuck. And even knowing that, I still completely forgot about the fact that the Big Mac exists. That's crazy. I'm gonna be kicking myself in the foot for that one. But to be fair, Captain Rainbow was for the Wii, and it came out before Punch-Out for the Wii, so I guess his rehabilitation paid off. Now we just do it again for another Punch-Out game for the Switch, or the Switch 2. Please? 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 I really want to play more Punch-Out! Please!
Now do Little Mac versus Rocky's opponents, please.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Probably not enough for a full video, but I can do it here. Little Mac probably does pretty well against Rocky's opponents, since he has, like, the star punches and all that. It'd be a pretty risky game for Mac, though, since he'd be taking some serious damage, but I don't think he's having too much trouble. An interesting suggestion, though.
Find cool video. Think the name of the channel is a little strange, so I check out the profile. Gender fluid in bio. Every fucking time, I swear.
Ah, we got one of these guys. First of all, the fact that you structured your comment like a fucking 4chan post tells me all I need to know. Second of all, aw, big baby man can't handle advanced biology? Are you some kind of dumb little toddler baby man? Everyone watching this video with a head on their shoulders, find this comment and reply with, "Who cares, dude?" with perfect grammar. I'm talking the apostrophe, the capitalization, everything. Let's collectively annoy this one dude who doesn't understand gender. I think that'd be a nice little collective thing we do as a community. Probably the only thing I'll do like that until I don't know, get a billion subscribers. Anyways.
Bald Bull being the most iconic right behind Little Mac and Glass Joe is crazy. King Hippo definitely takes that spot.
Yeah, I'm willing to yield on this take. I guess my opinions on Bald Bull are sort of skewed since I have been such a big fan of the series for so long. If I had to reevaluate the top 5 most iconic Punch-Out characters, it would probably be Little Mac, Glass Joe, King Hippo, Doc Lewis, and then maybe Bald Bull. Maybe Mike Tyson too, but I don't know if he really counts because he's a real dude. But I still think Bald Bull is pretty recognizable. From the bull charge to his iconic laugh that's followed him in all of his appearances, even to his guest appearance in arm wrestling. Bald Bull has shooters, and by God, I'm one of them.
What if Rocky was called Freaky and instead of boxing, he made out with his opponents?
Yeah, wow, that's a real shocker there, pal. By the way, I know who you are. Stop asking me to draw Punch-Out Yowie on Twitter. For all the people who had to look that up to know what the word Yowie means, I'm, sorry. It's kind of unavoidable.
This guy sounds like the J-Wits.
The Pokemon YouTube guy? You just sent me back in time. Holy moly. I used to watch his videos a ton. Does he still upload even? Huh. Well, I'll be damned. Anyways, I don't hear the resemblance at all, but I'll take that as a compliment, I guess. Nice video and all. Now let's see how the robot version of Rocky would fare. And by that I mean Adam from Real Steel. Oh man, I love Real Steel! That's such a good movie, you just reminded me of that. Adam would be a really fun character to run through the races like Rocky. Alright, so him and Ippo. I might have 2 characters I'm curious to make another video for. Maybe I ought to combine them into one video.
I feel like if you remove 2 factors for Sandman, retconning his strength from punching a building down to a mere top tier, and make him go all 15 rounds with Rocky, it just becomes Rocky versus Drago again.
a tough fight, but one Rocky could win through time. Oh yeah, oh sure! I bet if you take any character, retcon their strength to be lower than normal, and put Rocky in his most advantageous state, he wins fairly easily! But do you hear yourself? Be for real. Rocky is the exact opposite of Little Mac in his fighting style. Whereas Little Mac strongly emphasizes defensive fighting and dodging, Rocky just blocks all the punches with his face. And I think that dynamic is fascinating, especially since it's a video game. A lot of Punch-Out is made for more defensive and evasive boxers, so slapping a character that's so opposed to that sort of style and seeing how he fares is very interesting. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to make the original video in the first place, aside from the fact that I feel like it was such an obvious idea for a video. I'm surprised nobody made it before I did.
Night Shift from Skylanders would have a field day in Punch-Out!
Oh man, don't get me started on Skylanders, dude. Holy shit. I grew up with the Swap Force, and those are my favorite group of Skylanders. I love the idea of being able to mix and match them, and it's super fun to customize them. I remember having like 4 or 5 of them when I was a kid, but I ended up selling all my Skylanders on eBay for like $75. Personally, I'd love to have a full collection of all 16 of them to swap around whenever I'm bored because I'm stupid and autistic.
If Rocky was able to have a brisk iced tea, then he'd win every match in a minute.
Well, thank God he didn't, otherwise I wouldn't have a video to make. Though, I think it'd be funny to imagine drinking an iced tea is the equivalent of going Super Saiyan for Rocky.
How far would Jake Paul get if he can't stage the fights, that is?
I can't imagine Jake Paul getting very far, but it would be super funny to see like a fan game called Jake Paul's Punch-Out, where you just fight him over and over, and he just bribes you with more and more money each time you fight to try and get you to throw the match.
Little coding monkeys, get on it, please.
Mr. Sandman would probably get his boxing license revoked for destroying a building. My guy, who do you think would be willing to tell him he's having his boxing license revoked? You know, that's fair. I certainly wouldn't be the one breaking the news to someone already pissed enough to destroy a building barehanded.
Game over. Rocky ain't sparring with grizzly bears.
Well, obviously Bear Hugger befriended the bear before it became a sparring partner. How do you think he got his name? Now, sparring with a bear is still an extremely impressive feat, but I don't think Bear Hugger would come out unscathed if that bear suddenly got pissed at him. Maybe an extra include on the title offense could be how Rocky would do against Little Mac? I imagine some of the later fights, the bigger danger than the damage would be how much some of the punches would throw Rocky around the ring. That wasn't English? Hello? But I think I get what this one's trying to say. When it comes to Little Mac, I feel like Rocky could probably just take him out fairly easy. Rocky's a grown-ass man, and Little Mac is just 17. Rocky has way more experience than him as well. So that's double the reason for Little Mac to lose. Just a few issues. Little Mac is way too good at evading attacks, so it's going to take Rocky a damn long time to get Mac to go down. And even then, Little Mac is going to be getting counter hits in after a lot of Rocky's punches, so that's going to be more for Rocky to struggle with. Secondly, I think I said this before, but Little Mac has star punches, and even if he only gets a few of those, it's going to be big trouble for Rocky, on top of the fact that Mac is going to drag the match on for as long as it can go, even if it's only the 3-minute Punch-Out matches.
Oh, now we need a video regarding the title defense matches. Aaron Ryan is about to be an even nastier issue.
I've kind of been against the idea of making a video about the title defense fights, and that's mostly because I desire to not just make the exact same video again. I can't for the life of me think of a way to display the same information in the same order in a different way. I wouldn't want to bore you guys, but if you really want me to make a sequel to that video talking about the title defense matches and maybe Little Mac and Donkey Kong in a little more depth, let me know in the comments or on my Discord server, the Hoose of Goose. It's a grand old time in there, a lot of cool people, including the people that inspired me to make the last video about Rocky and Punch-Out.
You never account for the fact that Little Mac is just a kid. Disco Kid telegraphs his attacks because he feels bad about whooping a kid. Don Flamenco pulls his punches because he doesn't want to be known as a kid crusher. It messes up his image. And Aaron Ryan doesn't because he's clinically insane.
I really don't think any of the boxers in Punch-Out give a fuck if Little Mac is 17. He willingly signed up for a fighting competition. And assuming that 17 is at least the minimum age, they're all going to treat him the same as they would any other opponent. This idea doesn't really have any legs to stand on, in my opinion. Although, I can't agree with you on one thing. Aaron Ryan is insane.
Okay,
About the whole Mr. Sandman thing, I have a theory that those intro cutscenes might just be promo material by the WBBA. The building could very well have been destroyed for the sake of drumming up the crowd's hype, because I fail to believe that Little Mac could survive a hit to the head that would also destroy a wall, and moreover, I doubt that he could destroy a wall to begin with. Now, you might assume from my tone that I don't like this idea, but I'm just processing it. Yeah, that's actually a pretty decent idea. The intro cutscenes being advertising, almost propaganda for each boxer to show how strong they are. It would explain why Glass Joe looks so weird in his intro cutscene. Maybe he's just camera shy. Some of the other intros feel a little too much like flashbacks or too embarrassing to be any sort of promo, like Von Kaiser's, but I can't deny it's a very interesting idea. I didn't even consider that. Still, I don't think Rocky's winning against Mr. Sandman. Okay, I think that's every comment worth looking at. A lot of good points brought up, but I feel like my final decision still stands. Aside from that, I think that's going to be the end of the video, so take a look at this fun fan art while I plug some of my stuff, okay? First things first, follow my social medias, Twitter and TikTok. I have an Instagram and Newgrounds as well, but I barely use them, so I don't think it's worth to mention them anymore. I'm kind of phasing them out. Next, join the Discord server. I plugged it earlier, but there's a nice group of people there who are fans of me as well. Next, become a member of the channel. I call them headliners because I think it's cool, and it is. You get access to emotes on stream, access to a special channel in the Discord server, the ability to vote on the priority of future videos, and other cool stuff like that. It's as cheap as I could make it, I'm pretty sure, so give it a shot if you have some money to throw at me. Also check out my live streams. Those are pretty fun, I think. I suppose that's it for now. So let's close up shop. My name is Goose. I thank you very much for watching. And, please stop calling me the Punch-Out guy. Now get lost!